Wadau na wadau des.
If I've grown up seeing dysfunction, my mind registers that is the truth. That's how things ought to
Subconsciously. After last week's episode with Faith Dhuo, the doctor, oh my God, we could not afford not to have another one.
I always tell a story of my brother. He kept hiding his wound and limping, and would be asked, what's up? He says it's the stomach. Kumbe, it's until it started to smell.
So now we had Faith come back for another good conversation on trauma and how it affects relationships.
But before you can even get there, would you help your partner to actually understand themselves? In relationship or in marriage, there's the point of forgiving and there's the point of forbearing. Forbear is where you say, this is how my person is.
We explore attachment styles, trauma bonding, and so on. You better stick to the end because Faith has what you need. Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome back to another fiery episode of Power Talk. Here with my doctor once again, Faith Dhuo. I am so happy to be with you again in this other episode. Karibu sana. For those people who have not yet met you before, can you introduce yourself?
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Faith Dhuo. I am many things. But first, I'm a disciple of Jesus Christ. Love the Lord. He forms the greatest part of my identity. Yeah. I am married to George Dhuo. I have 2 kids, a boy and a girl.
The way women nowadays are just
they are
glowing.
glowing.
The mother of 2 looks like this.
Yeah. And professionally, I'm a psychologist with therapy effect consulting. Please look out for us. We are doing a great job.
Absolutely. That I agree. And if you haven't watched the previous episode, you need to. So guys, we are back again with something, and we wanted to now progress into relationships because we talked about healing your inner child. So now we are trying to connect with how unhealed trauma actually affects the relationships we end up having in the near future. So what are some of these attachment styles we hear that come from the trauma we've experienced as children?
Okay. So first, to understand what attachments are.
Yeah.
Attachments are, it's the way someone is able to connect with another person emotionally, simply. Yeah. And they are formed in childhood. That's the genesis of attachment.
Yeah.
So once a child is born, they have people around them who could be their mother, their father, a nanny, their siblings. Now, how these people around this child interact with the child determines the kind of attachment the child develops. Yeah. So we ideally have 4 attachments. The ideal, the very best that we should have is a secure attachment.
Okay.
How does a secure attachment come about? A secure attachment comes in when a child is seen and heard, is cared for. Here we talk about emotions, right?
Okay.
So we are talking about emotional needs were met. When they have a wet diaper and they cry, are they neglected?
Okay.
When they go playing and someone beats them and they are crying and they come and say, Mommy, so and so has done this, are they told, Nyamaza, what's wrong with you? Why are you crying?
Children get trauma from friends.
Yeah, they can. Bullying. We have lots of cases of people who are struggling with their sense of self-worth in their adulthood because of being bullied by young children in school.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So secure attachment, when a child is cared for, seen and heard, and they are valued for who they are, not for what they do, not for how they look, but for who they are. Yeah. So it's not about your performance in school. You know, I've had people in therapy that they were treated based on how they perform. So ukikosa ku get an A and your siblings have, you don't eat, you're told you won't, be bought for clothes, which is basic need. Ideally, you're entitled to that despite your performance. Yeah. So a securely attached person, child, they know their worth. they feel confident about themselves, and even as they grow in adulthood, they understand that they ought to be respected nonetheless. So they are okay with intimacy, and they are also okay with independence. So they will not be so devastated in case someone akatae kuingia box. They will be okay, and they are also okay with being intimate or being in relationships. That's a securely attached person. Now the other three are insecure. So the first one is anxious attachment. And anxious attachment comes in where the environment was inconsistent. They were not very sure, should I expect love or not? Remember, we've talked about family dysfunction when we were talking about inner child. So in a case where, for example, you had a parent who was alcoholic, and so you knew when mom comes drunk, she's very chaotic. So you can't rely on her to hear you out as a child. But then when she's sober, she's very warm and loving. So that brings the inconsistency in how this parent shows up for you emotionally. So
that's what actually contributes to. Oh yeah, it makes sense.
It contributes to that fear of guys, leo atakuja akiwa aje. Exactly. So as you continue to grow, this child has a lot of need for connection, and so they can develop fear of being abandoned, because they are afraid of being rejected. They're afraid of someone not approving them. So as adults, they will manifest with a lot of internal need for validation. They want to be affirmed by everyone, so they will go over and above. They will overfunction. They will people please, because they want to fit in. They want some sense of safety and security around them. So that's an anxiously attached person. Then we have an avoidant, dismissive attachment.
Okay.
So this one comes in when there was neglect and to some level abuse, where if you report how you feel or you express yourself emotionally, you're criticized, you're left to be on your own. So you learn that my environment is not safe.
It's not safe.
So you learn to curve inward. You learn to keep quiet. You learn to be that silent child. Think about yourself 7 years. 7-year-old yourself, Mora or face. What image comes to your mind? Is it a bubbly child, smiling, confident, or is it a child who is very withdrawn, afraid, So an avoidant attachment. So they learn that my world is not safe. So they develop trust issues. For them, they are extremely cautious. They are extremely, alert. Because for them, danger is around. So these are the people that in relationships, they will be, they tend to struggle a lot with emotional connection. They portray to be very emotionally independent. Atutaki mambo mingi, So for them, it's a self-preservation strategy.
So they learned basically even avoid. Are they the type of people who avoid conflict?
Right.
Who avoid facing things head on? They'd rather, I'm not going to face this. We would rather just get past it.
Yes. So those are the people who will avoid. Basically for them, peace means if I don't present myself on the table, I won't have to experience the chaos. So I would rather be away.
Okay.
So
basically it looks like the first one is action based on what the parent did. The other one is because the first one is not action based. It's because there was no active. This other one is action based. Somebody actually made you react to what they did.
Right. Okay. So they're actually on extreme opposites. One is anxious. I want it now. The other one is I do not want because it's dangerous.
It was extremely given in the wrong way.
Right.
The other one, it's like you're being given in bits. So you don't even know what to expect. So you're there, but you're not there.
Right. So actually, now there's the third one, which is a mix of this, right? Which is called now the disorganized or fearful avoidant. So fearful avoidant have a mix of anxious and avoidant tendencies. Especially where there was extreme abuse or trauma. So they have a deep desire for connection, but every time they tried to connect, they were rejected, they were criticized, they were abused. So they end up showing signs of I want connection, but no, I do not want.
Okay.
It's more of like a trauma response where they want connection, but they're also afraid that if I connect, so their relationships tends to be very unstable because partners would struggle to understand them. Like, ay, unatakanga nini? At one point we are so good, all is fine, like we are doing so well, and then something small, I'm leaving, I'm out, you know. So yeah, that on and off.
Okay, so now I wanted to understand now what are some of the things that you can pick out from traumatic relationships now for the two people. Now we have actually looked at the attachment styles, but now the relationship as a whole. How can we pick out this is a traumatic relationship? How can we say this relationship is with trauma and people who are there are traumatized?
So remember, it takes two to tango, right? You might come into a relationship healthy, but your partner has some issues, you know, or some baggages, right? It's very important, and that's why it's advised that people date. The sole reason for dating is to understand your partner in a more better way, right? You understand how they deal with conflicts, how they communicate, how they react to things that are off their expectations and all that. So that dating space gives an allowance for understanding, are we aligned? But then if that is skipped, you realize that now relationships can be very turbulent because how I expect my partner to show up based on what I observed growing up is not the same. So maybe for a healthy person, they know that a healthy relationship should care and be compassionate and all these things. Whereas if you have a partner whose environment was very chaotic, they might be very, you know, very insensitive and all this, and sometimes they can shower you some affection, and then you think that, okay, I think it means good, and then kidogo they are back to the unhealthy. So it's a whole cycle of fear and shame, but with some to intermittent kindness and to love, which is a bait. Sometimes it's what keeps people in unhealthy, toxic relationships, because you're like, but when we are good, we are really good. But then the cycle
still repeats itself. So as long as there's a cycle, there's trauma that is responding. So now, do you have to heal trauma first before you enter a relationship? Because now it seems if you don't, then that's going to be a bumpy ride.
Yes, but we always say every time is a chance to heal.
Okay.
Yeah. It doesn't mean if you got into a relationship while you've not resolved your past experiences that it's bound to fail. As long as you both are willing to work on yourselves, if both of you have a past, and also if your partner is willing to extend that grace and compassion, that okay, I understand your past, then I'm willing to help you through the process. But then that becomes very difficult if the person who is traumatized actually doesn't know that they are, or they don't acknowledge that they have something to work on.
So if somebody doesn't want to go through that journey, then there is no point of being in a relationship with them. They have to want to work on themselves, basically, because definitely it's going to reach the end. This person doesn't deal with these things. There's either the end of it physically, or somebody even has to go to heaven because of the pressure it gives, and sometimes violently, or even mental pressures and all those things. So now, how do you actually identify in a relationship that this is trauma-based actions, or this is actually a legitimate issue within the relationship? You know, we can have a problem and we can say this is just an issue that we need to solve. But how can I actually say, now I think my partner is responding to something that probably they went through and it's trauma aligned, or all those things? How do you differentiate between the two in a relationship?
Yeah, because relationships have issues, and it's a common thing. I mean, it's normal, right? But then how to tell if this is a trauma response? So number one, is there exaggerated reactions? Yeah. Umeka too extra salt in the food, and the response is too catastrophic, like it's too huge, and you're wondering, this I thought does not warrant such a reaction.
Oh yeah.
So when their way of expressing
is an issue.
Yes, it's very exaggerated and amplified, then that could be pointing to them having some transfer of emotions from an experience they've had. You want to look at basic things. There are core things in relationship, for example, communication. So if this person does not is the person who doesn't want to engage in conversations, you have a conflict, they choose to lay back, you tell them let's talk about this, they are not willing to. They are completely avoidant. So that can tell you that they could be responding to something. Others could be very aggressive. You're just calling me because I'm late, I'm dressing up, but you're raising your voice, you're all over the world. So
like especially if something does not warrant the same reaction, definitely there has to be something. So now I think so it makes sense, although there are people who are actually aggressive anytime they're expressing anything. For such people who are extremists with everything, now how would you differentiate? Because the people who just don't have the capacity to express themselves in the best way they possibly can,
What would be causing them to be?
Well, naturally they are aggressive, so whatever they even bring on the table or whatever triggers them, they respond that way. So how would you tell when somebody is extremely aggressive when they are being more aggressive? Because the people who are not, you can't tell the shifts usually.
Okay, so we want to understand what is behind the aggression, because ideally a healthy person should be able to express in a calm way. Unless we are talking of maybe there's personality traits that could be presenting. But then if say I'm a choleric, for example, I'm very leadership oriented and I want things to go a certain way and all that, in as much as my personality will show, there's a way it will not hurt the other person. But someone who is wounded, there's a way they will express it, and you will feel you're left wondering or questioning your reality or your sanity.
Okay. Wow. So guys, are you in a traumatic relationship? Please answer these questions with your uttermost, how do I say, honesty, because I think that is the hardest part for us to ever acknowledge, that I could actually be causing pain to my other significant other because of the pain I have gone through. Otherwise, thank you for coming this far with us. Definitely continue supporting this page by liking, hitting the red button, and sharing this information. We want relationships to work out there. So Faith, how would somebody start? How do you think is the best way for the journey to healing a trauma in a relationship, not an individual, in a relationship specifically? Because this one seems very complex. An individual, I can take charge of my life and I can actually move on and just go for therapy, lead my life. But now a relationship has two people. And now the dynamic of trying to reconcile the differences and the trauma in that healing journey, how does it go about?
So there's need to acknowledge the role that each individual partner has played in causing the chaos that is in the relationship. Remember, insecure attachments tend to attract each other. So if I'm anxiously attached, highly likely I might attract an avoidant
one, because I'm seeing
them very independent and very they look so well kept, and so that attracts me to them. But then once I get into that box, I realize they are not available. They're emotionally unavailable. But now I'm already in. And remember, an anxious person, it is so difficult to leave.
And you were actually mentioning that, and I'm like, is that what it is? Is it, or rather, is that what it is to trauma bond?
Right.
So that's what it is.
Yes.
We are bending, not bending. We are bonding because of trauma.
Your traumas, yes.
Not based on a healthy attraction towards what I need.
Right.
So that is what is trauma bonding.
Yes. Trauma bonding, exactly what you said. That toxic emotional connection, that's coming from a point of lack.
No.
There's a deep lack that this person has, once it's met by that other person, they are bound together, even when other factors don't align. For example, someone who loves to be validated, an anxious person, and they get this avoidant person, but who is validating them. Oh, you're doing such a good job, you. So they get connected. So for them, this validation is so at the highest top of their priority, such that they become blind to any other.
Yeah.
They are not looking at our values aligned. Are we the same in the way we see things? All these kind of things. So you realize by the time they are discovering that in addition to the validation I got, there are all these other things that I don't like about the person. But now remember, this person keeps giving. Because sometimes, especially when you're talking about emotional manipulation and abuse, people will capitalize on your weak points. They know the hot buttons to press. So they know, if I tell Mora, I'm going to leave you, that's a reason for you to want to reconcile, because you so deeply fear to be left. So you're like, okay, then I'm sorry. And yet they're the ones who've offended you. You end up apologizing because they know that when I promise I'm leaving her, I get what I want.
You get what you want.
So you're trauma bonded, and there's need to heal. A lot of time, the victim, as victims, not in any way to blame the victim, but we tend to want the other person to change. But you know what? The responsibility is with us first. We have to respond and heal to the parts of us that makes us vulnerable to their abuse. If it's your fear of rejection, you have to work on that, because you can't say my freedom is dependent on if so and so changes. So what if it takes forever for them to change?
True. And now that you're mentioning freedom, the case of not just about relationships. Now, in marriage there is no that part where we can't start discussing about easy freedom. You can just get out. It's not as easy. In a relationship, I can say, okay, fine, I leave. He's not willing to actually face this. She's not willing to actually go through this journey, and we heal together and now build a better founded relationship. Now, in marriage, you realize, yes, we had gone through this journey. We are good. Now, I can't even reconcile the fact that this is what I've discovered about you as a person, and that is not something that other person is probably willing to embrace and start that journey. Now, where do you bring the balance? Because now this is a different type of let me say shift. You can't just do it the same way like you do it in a relationship. So now, how do you bring a balance in such a kind of a situation?
That's tough. That's tough. We say that in relationship or in marriage, there's the point of forgiving, and there's the point of forbearing. Forbear is where you say, this is how my person is. I have tried all I can, but they're not changing. So I have to be willing to sit in with it and to carry it on as is. So it depends on
forbearing. How far is too far?
I know. So then you have to decide what are your non-negotiables. And then act on them. So really, it's because you just can't say if your relationship or you realize your partner has trauma and all this, just leave. Not really. So it has to come to what for you is so important. If for you decide physical abuse is the last thing I want, and it happens, then you have to sit and now have those non-negotiables. But before you can even get there, would you help your partner to actually understand themselves? Because maybe sometimes it's just that someone is not aware that they are projecting certain things because of their past.
But most people out here are actually aware, but just don't want to face and take responsibility.
Right.
Because the journey is not usually, it's not for everyone, it's for the brave. People who are actually like, let me face this truth. I am going to look into my scars, accept them, and begin to heal. Now, most people are trapped in a situation where I think I can't, and especially this happens, especially with, I don't know, especially with men. Men would rarely want to actually sit down and say, I have this pain. I want to face it and I want to go for therapy. As women, we go for therapy all the time. In fact,
But you'll be shocked. Actually, most of my clients are
men.
male than female. Nowadays, men are coming up.
They're coming up.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. I think you need to say this out loud because many people know that men don't like, especially, and those who come, are they married or single?
Both. But you find in most cases is when now they are hitting rock bottom, like things are not working
that's
completely.
it. They don't talk about it at the initial stages until it gets to the end.
Yeah.
I remember a friend of mine telling me they were hanging out. They usually have hangouts, and they realized by the time they were leaving, no one had talked about themselves. Then somebody just asked them, "What are you actually going through?" Somebody was even in the divorce court already. Another one, children were home, they don't have school fees, and they were there having fun. But men don't have this natural aura of just exposing their lives. They would want, I'd rather face it myself, and then, unless, like you're saying, hit rock bottom. Wow, this is just getting hotter. Hey, episode 3. Loading. So now, how do we break the cycle and start having healthier relationships? Because we have identified now this is where we are, and we don't want to get stuck here. We want to actually now, be able to build a better relationship, especially for those people already in it and there's no way out, and you want to make sure now it works. So how do you break the cycle and now begin to heal and have better relationships?
So once you've identified the role that you've played, you start by changing yourself. Because we say sometimes we enable our abusers.
Oh yeah.
We teach people how to treat us. If every time they come and you call them out for a behavior, and they actually gaslight you, so they make you feel like you're the problem. I did this because you did this and this. Then it's important that you point out that you take that power to yourself and say that I've noticed every time I bring up an issue, you always turn the tables and make them realize that you are aware of their patterns and set boundaries. Because sometimes when someone is actually trying to manipulate you, they will twist you until you take responsibility for what you're not responsible for. So you have to learn that there are some dynamics which you will enable if you still remain in that wounded self. So you have to heal parts of yourself that makes it so easy to be. So for example, if it's your lack of setting boundaries, then you need to start coming up and saying, no, this is not going to work this way, this is, and once you've shown that person that side of yourself, then they have two options. Either they align to yourself and realize, oh, kumbe, I also have played a role in hurting you. So that could be a wake-up call for them to actually consider their personal growth and change. But others would decide, okay, it seems like this girl has come to an awakening, so they decide to leave.
Okay. Wow. So guys, hey, now what do we do here? Because I believe this one is hitting so many people. Inakula watu hapa na pale. Because relationships out here, and especially right now, people are even choosing not to be in marriages or relationships because of the extreme issues they're having to face when they are having to take responsibility, see what is really going on with your partner and even yourself. And then they just choose, then I'm not facing this, I'll just have to be alone. So I would want you to just say one thing to our audience and encourage them. I know it looks tough. It looks like it's a bit quite some work. A lot of work, in fact. Just give them some encouragement and tell them from your desk where you have sat and you've seen people heal, you've seen people go through their process and they are doing well. Just encourage them.
Okay. So what I would want to tell you, my audience, is that relationships work. Marriages are working. It's possible to grow a healthy relationship. But remember, it takes two. So you have to be willing to work together with your partner to acknowledge. And it's not about accusing the other person. It's not about creating the gap. It's actually about repairing. And repairing is tough. Think about a wound. If you choose to, I always tell a story of my brother. He kept hiding his wound and limping, and we'd be asked, what's up? He says it's the stomach. Kumbe, it's until it started to smell. There was a false smell, and we were wondering, what's that smelling? It's his wound, because he is afraid of the cleaning process. The cleaning process is not easy, but it's what will bring the health in that relationship. So if you want to be married for 60 years, 90 years, would you rather stay in that space that you walk on eggshells, you feel so afraid, you are, or would you rather go through that tough season of facing your fears, facing your wounds, and healing them, so that you can make a better relationship? So it's possible to heal and to be restored.
Wow.
There
you have it, guys. There you have it. I mean, Dr. Faith has said it all. I'm already healing. Praise Jesus.
Hallelujah.
Just talking to her feels healing. I don't know why, but these sessions are just good. Dr. Faith is very much available. Of course, her social media platforms will be shared, and you can reach out to her. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us today. What I'd say is, in every situation, choose you. Do not forget yourself in anything. Remember to choose yourself, and above all, let God lead every step you take. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is Power Talk, as always, real, candid, and raw. Like, share, subscribe.